Hello folks, and thank you for joining us for Armistice Day here at Fort McHenry, or as it was known at the time in World War I, General Hospital Number 2. Now, what do we mean when we call this place a general hospital? The term actually goes back to the American Civil War in 1862, when a man by the name of Jonathan Letterman creates a whole new system on how to treat battlefield wounds. This is the same exact system that we use today. At the time, they called it the Letterman System. And the Letterman System is made up of 3 parts. First, you have a dressing station. This happens right on the front lines. That's where you're going to have your medics that are going to do the initial care for a wounded soldier. Second, you have a field hospital. This is going to be just off the front lines. It's going to be in a structure of some kind, some type of temporary structure. That's where your life-saving surgeries are going to happen. That's where a lot of initial treatment is going to happen. And then the third step is what we are here, a general hospital. So a general hospital is going to be some of those later on surgeries to help rehabilitate a soldier. It's going to be different tasks to get them back into normal life after being wounded severely on the front lines. So a general hospital is going to be pretty far off the front lines. As you can tell, we're in Baltimore. World War I's happening over in Europe. So taking those soldiers that have been severely wounded, bringing them here to a general hospital. Now, these nurses and doctors here at the general hospital are going to be seeing a wide variety of wounds. And a lot of these wounds are going to be very specific to the type of warfare that we have in the First World War. First, think about trench warfare. The fact that these men are being stationed underground, and when they have to go fight, they have to get out of a trench. Imagine getting out of a trench, and the first thing that you are exposing to a field of fire is going to be your face. It's going to be your head. So a lot of the wounds that they're getting here at General Hospital Number 2 is going to be facial wounds. Wounds that have severely damaged how a person looks. So one thing that's very unique to General Hospital Number 2 is that they start working on plastic surgeries, facial reconstruction surgeries, to try and give these men as close to a normal life as possible after they've been so severely disfigured from their wounds that they received over in Europe. Another wound that we think of with the First World War that is unique to the First World War is going to be gas. Gas is a whole new category of casualty that we get out of the First World War. And gas is going to be a very specific kind of wound to treat. So gas is first used in 1915. The very first gas that is used in a weaponized form is going to be chlorine gas. And what chlorine gas does to its victim is it actually forces your lungs to fill up with fluid, causing you to drown on those fluids. Our most famous gas that we get out of the First World War is mustard gas. And mustard gas isn't so much of a gas as much as it is a mist, an agent, if you will. And that mist clings on to moist parts of the human body, and it burns the human body. So think what parts of your body get moist naturally, and think about that mustard agent attaching to that and burning you, and what kind of pain and damage that would cause. So gas causes these long-term effects after a soldier is wounded from gas. And here at General Hospital Number 2, think of those long-term effects that the nurses and doctors are going to have to treat. Finally, there is one final wound that's not easily seen from the outside. It actually has to do with the trauma that these men have gone through being in this hellish landscape over in the First World War. Being under fire, constantly fearing for your life. How long can the human brain take all these constant bombardments and dangers in the trenches? They called it shell shock, where the human brain got to the point where it could not tell it was no longer in danger, where the human body could no longer function because the brain would not allow it to. So today we would call that PTSD. And these doctors and nurses are having to work with these soldiers that have had such severe shell shock just to get them functioning again, getting them to do little tasks like painting or playing baseball, anything to just get them to realize they're no longer in danger and they can return to a normal life. Now, these wounds and experiences that these soldiers have, that they're bringing to those doctors and nurses, the doctors and nurses weren't on the front lines, but they experienced the war through the eyes of these soldiers. And their life-saving work that they're doing here is what makes their work no less heroic.